Yes, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Variety Hour. I'm Titus O'Reilly, and joining me in the studio today, Danny McGinlay, stand-up comedian, ex-banner writer. Do I have to bring that up every time?
I hope not.
Star of his new Melbourne International Comedy Festival show, which is starting...
Tuesday the 10th of April, 9:30, European Beer Cafe. And what's that? You live in Sydney? Sydney Comedy Festival, May 5th and 6th, I think.
What a week. The Commonwealth Games have started. I know you're pretty excited.
Are you okay, Titus? You look like you got a temperature. Is that Commonwealth Games fever?
So the worst thing about it is I've started my comedy festival show and I get Wednesday nights off, which meant I was around to watch the Commonwealth Games opening ceremony. And I was like, why don't I have a show tonight?
I watched Melbourne victory in the Asian Champions League. There was instead of the that's right. I care more about victory than Australia beating Antigua and Barbuda.
I was talking to Jules Schiller about this, and we were talking about how we can't wait to see Australia beat some Pacific Islands, and Jules added, and many tax havens, because that's kind of to me what the Commonwealth Games are.
Well, just on the victory match, they got creamed 6-2. But
was it Korean side?
Korean side.
How's your Korean?
Really good, thanks. But there was a player.
Can we just call it Korea FC?
Korea FC. No, because I was on radio last night and I said the wrong team. I said it was Jeongbuk, and it was nice. Hyundai.
Do they all sound the same to you? You racist. You're a football racist.
The whole point of this, they had a player, Hyundai, Lim Jong-un.
Really?
Yeah. Combining a North Korean dictator with a premiership hero. VFL premiership hero, sure, but still a hero.
Was he an explosive player?
He did get their second goal.
So you missed the whole... So the Commonwealth Games
I wouldn't say I missed it.
Yeah, that's right. I was like, how can I get out of watching this?
Yeah, and what did you do? Did you spend time with the kids?
I watched one thing on one screen and one thing on another, basically. I was sort of trying to watch two things at once.
What was on your other screen?
I'm watching The Defiant Ones, which is
on Netflix.
Netflix, a doco about Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine. It's amazing doco if you want. Did it
confuse you, though? Are you now going to tell me...
There's less Delta Goodrum than the Commonwealth Games.
Are you going to tell me about the history of hip-hop music in America? And then just weirdly, someone kept announcing Kiribati.
Yeah, that's right. That might be another podcast I'll do where I do the deep dive into hip-hop history. Because being the whitest man on the planet, people really appreciate that.
Well, this is proving how white you are, being into hip-hop.
Oh. Well, no, it's an amazing doco, even if you're not into hip-hop at all. We should... just say the 7, though, you're one of the few that didn't watch it, because 2.7 million viewers tuned in to watch the Com Games.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Huge amount. And they stayed with it. Now, the thing is, Channel 7 do what Channel 7 always do. It didn't start till 8. Yep. And then they had so much filler. And you know how they do this in the racing every single year. And they think they do it on the Brownlow, where it's usually Hamish.
They ask the horses what they're wearing.
Yeah. They went in and said, they do that thing when they go, some of our presenters and one or two sports stars need some clothes. Let's go into a shop and just get fitted out in some new fashions. And it's part of the telecast. It's just an ad for whatever.
Is it like an 80s montage where they come out in different... It's just them trying on
clothes, and it goes for like 10 minutes, and you're sitting there going, I thought I was watching the Commonwealth Games opening ceremony. Instead, I'm watching... a couple of people go shopping. It's that level.
You've just reminded me, I did watch about 10 minutes of it.
Oh, the truth comes out.
Well, no, because I'd forgotten that Victory hadn't started yet, and I'd forgotten. So, I watched Tom from, Backyard Blitz, the chippy from Manly, whatever his name is, and... oh, God. Bruce McAvaney spoke to that runner girl who went to MLC. What's her name?
Gee, just amazing sport insight here. This is why people tune in. I hope SEN are listening because here's your new breakfast show. Jeez.
Yeah, but they didn't. It was just
I
talking.
like how is there a more Melbourne thing than you describe someone by what private school they went to? She went to MLC. Like, that should instantly unlock my mind.
Tamsin Lewis. And I only know that because I dated a girl from MLC who hated her. So
people who don't know, MLC is a Methodist ladies' college here
it's
in
like
Melbourne.
Hogwarts. It's massive.
It's like Hogwarts, is it? And so Tamsin Lewis, she never really won much, though. She was sort of known for just getting in fights with people.
Oh, yeah, her and Yana Pittman.
Yeah, she used to annoy me like nothing else. She's one of those people who's always in the media complaining and never winning.
What clothes did she try on during the
I don't think she was. Steve Hooker was trying on some clothes. Really? Yeah, and some reporter and someone else.
Did he do at least one joke outfit where he dressed as Ronald McDonald?
No, he did funny posing.
Oh, what a character!
Yeah, so that's always good.
I'm going to go watch it on iView. 7, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's really worth tuning into. So it didn't start till 8 o'clock at night, which is. It's pretty late when they start saying. I think they were saying 7:30. It was meant to start, and then it was just everyone being. They had cameras in all the buses going to.
Oh, did they have all the people station? Complaining?
And they were into it. Yeah, it was because there was a huge delay.
2 hours.
This was all the athletes going in the buses to the opening ceremony. And so someone on Twitter, and I can't remember who it was, I just saw it in passing, said this is like an episode of On the Buses. And it sort of was. It was like being on a morning commute for the first hour of the coverage.
Is that what you think On the Buses was? Just people literally on a bus?
I believe so. It's been a while since I've tuned into UK TV.
Less documentaries about hip-hop, more documentaries about the genius of Reg Varney.
So, but people tuned in and watched this, and then the actual opening ceremony got over. Now, the thing I love to death about the world is Twitter hated it. Twitter just would because Twitter's where all the people just express their real views that they don't say to their friends, while Facebook is like everyone presenting a face to the world that they're actually nice people.
Oh, I think Instagram is more the nice
it's
area.
Even nice, yeah.
And Twitter is hatred personified. Facebook seems to be neutral to me.
Well, it leans heavily Russian.
It was the most dobre.
That's right. All my friends are Russian on Facebook. It's weird. I can't remember. A lot of them I've never met.
Well, I didn't know what I thought about the Commonwealth Games opening ceremony, but thankfully Cambridge Analytica told me I liked it.
Right, so you're a big fan.
Yeah.
I thought Cambridge Analytica for a long time was a font. But it turns out that they had a bunch of things. They had one bit where they had people all getting undressed behind towels, like it was a beach, and one woman, her backside got shown to
so she committed.
It was an accident.
Oh, no, but you think under the towel...
screenshotted that one bit, and you're like, who are these people that are like, quick, pause, screenshot it, put it on social media? So she's an unidentified woman at this point, but that might change.
She'll probably have
someone out there's like, I recognise that backside.
She'll be the new Bachelorette by the end of the month.
That's right. So that was probably the most exciting bit. Delta Goodrem came out. Ricky Lee Coulter came out, and she had trouble lip syncing.
Oh, did she? It's because she's a real artist.
She's a real artist. She demanded to sing live. And someone wrote an article today. They said, watching her perform, this was in one of the papers wrapping up it, and said, how could she have come 7th in Australian Idol?
It was an outrage.
I'm sitting there going, who's holding a torch all these years about that's the outrage they remembered it.
So is Anthony Kalir reading that going, I wasn't that bad.
Ricky Lee came out 7th.
Do you know, I'll tell you a story.
It's not like she's gone out and had this amazing career.
Can you name any other Australian Idol people from that year?
Anthony Kalir. But see, I never watch it. So unless someone I know Shannon Knoll because he got kicked out of a strip club in Adelaide, and then said, "Do you know who I am?" And everyone else in the crowd started singing "What About Me" at him, which is just the best thing about Australia that's pretty much ever happened.
We had when I used to work on a TV show called The Circle, morning light entertainment, Denise Drysdale extravaganza.
What were you doing on that?
I started off as their wacky chef, and then
are you serious?
Yeah, promptly got bumped to audience warm up.
Hang on, we're gonna let's just throw away the podcast running. This is like when Surge's Bob Morrison. I could have been the voice of Bob Morrison. You were a chef on a on Channel 10's The Circle.
Yeah, I did 2 wacky, fun recipe things, and then they go, actually, we want you to do audience warm-up. So.
We want you to be off camera.
Yes.
Oh, that's brutal. So what did you cook?
Ironically, it paid more. So.
What did you cook?
First time I was on, I cooked a thing of my own invention, the party pie parmigiana. Which is where you get a party pie and you deep fry, you crumb it, deep fry it.
You had me at party pie.
Exactly.
That is amazing.
And then cake in a cup, how you can do that in a microwave, and then
cake in a cup. It's like you're cooking for 21-year-old blokes who've just moved out of home.
That's how I pitched it to them. I said, your target demographic is housewives, but there's also a lot of unemployed students who are watching, and and they said, yeah, let's give it a go.
Uber Eats has sort of done you out of a job there, though.
Yeah.
I tell the kids these days. In my day, when we were hungover, we didn't have Uber Eats.
That's right. We had baked beans and cornflakes, often in the same bowl.
we had lying in bed until the pizza shop opened.
So I worked behind the scenes for a couple of years, and we had someone like Ricky Lee. It could have been Paulini. It could have been.
Once again, you're not good on the details.
I'm not good on the details.
What private schools did they go to? Perhaps that's the best way to get our audience to understand who you mean.
They were lip syncing, and it is quite.
Did they always lip sync?
They didn't. Yes.
I lip sync my show.
Is that why you hold the mic so high?
Yeah, I hold it right up there so people can't see. I'm actually not moving my mouth at all.
It's difficult to lip sync singing, but there was one time this person, Paulini or whoever it was, had a DJ, because they were doing an R&B song. They had a DJ scratching records, but it wasn't plugged in. He had to mime scratching and tuning knobs.
I can imagine the Circle audience would have loved that. What was, when you're doing warm-up, who was in the audience?
Pretty much the same rotation of pensioners so
what gear do you have to warm them up with?
It was all crowd work. It was a lot of, hey,
Where
Jan, how are you? How's your grandkids today? All right, and you need to laugh.
So you knew some of them?
I knew majority of them.
Are they still your friends?
They're my target audience now.
They come to all your gigs.
They're keeping this podcast afloat. G'day, Jan.
So the other thing we had is, so apart from, we had Sally Pearson hand the Queen's baton.
Yeah, that's like the flame for Commonwealth Games.
That's like the torch. It's like a rubbish torch to Prince Charles. And I thought, watching Prince Charles there, I thought, what a perfect royal to send to the Commonwealth Games. Like a royal that's sort of boring and irrelevant. Mm. To a sporting event that's boring and irrelevant. Like, it was just perfect. And they look like they wish to be anywhere but.
Well, Harry, of course, is planning his wedding, but I don't think we want Harry on the Gold Coast.
That's the thing, especially when he hasn't, let's just get him to get him to the church.
And then, then he can go to the Gold Coast and he'll finish it. He'll clock the Gold Coast. So I'll point out with the baton, it's because they made a big deal in the 10 minutes I watched, the journey of the baton. It went through all the countries. It started at Buckingham Palace and then it went all the way around and it ended at Prince Charles. Doesn't he live there? Couldn't the Queen have just handed it to him? It's like 2 floors up, sure.
And he's an environmentalist, so just think of all the emissions.
Yeah, what are you doing?
That is amazing that they did show that on Channel 7 all day yesterday. They just had news coverage of the baton being moved around Australia, and
I love that Sally
was better
Pearson,
than their normal stuff.
She gave the baton, the highest honour you can have at the Commonwealth Games, and then she went, all right, I'm off. No, I'm not running.
Yeah,
my leg hurts. See ya.
And they're all pretending it's a thing. We should mention she's out. She's announced this morning. So this is Sally Pearson, who everyone would know has won numerous gold medals at various things and world championships at 100-metre hurdles, and she's done her Achilles. She's been injured a lot because she broke her wrist, I think, that made her miss Rio. She's been so injured that Collingwood are in touch. Let's put her on the list.
She has to pass
she's 32
test.
And she's they just need to find if she owns a dog and she's across the line basically.
Just go before are we finishing up on Com Games?
Are you that keen to get off it?
No, of course I am. No, I had an interesting point. told to me.
Yeah.
Because I work at Front Bar behind the scenes, and I was
look
told.
At you name dropping.
That's
in
right.
your
The Circle, the Front Bar.
Is that the same audience too?
Yes, it is. Jan comes. She loves Mick. Her and Mick get out on
Where's
the beers
Denise?
afterwards.
Actually, Denise would be a good addition.
On the Front Bar.
Yeah.
But they can only have like 4 or 5 pots per show. should be done by the first segment. Marketing
budget.
Do you know the ratings? You were talking about 2.7 million.
Yeah.
Watch do you know how many people watched the Rio opening ceremony? And let's all, we can all freely admit.
Of course I do, but I'll let you tell us.
All right, Olympics are a bigger deal than the Commonwealth Games.
How many watched the Olympics?
1.6 million. Watched.
But there would have been, there was a time difference.
Bit of time difference, but this is cumulative. 1.6 million versus 2.7. And I was talking to one of the high-ups at Channel 7 who was just in the boardroom after the show.
Yeah,
and I
Tim Warner.
He invited me for a drink. I said, so footy's on 7, mate. Is that risky? And he goes, nah. This is a free hit. This is a dead certainty. Aussies love the Commonwealth Games, and this is shown in the ratings, 2.7 million.
Because we win everything.
It's like playing FIFA on semi-pro. Australians love watching Aussies win.
Yeah, that's right. It's like dunking on your kids. Yeah. That's basically what I think of the Commonwealth. Like,
yeah.
It's one of those dads at the park who just,
Well, except we also get to dunk on our parent country. So it's like being the oldest child and get to pick on the little siblings and pick on our ageing parent.
I got to admit, I couldn't be less interested in the Commonwealth Games.
But 1.1 million people are more interested. And just to give that context, that is 10 footy show audiences.
Yeah, it's huge.
Tuned in to watch 10 footy show audiences more tuned in to watch.
Well, now that
Seven
are going to lose they've lost the tennis. This is their sort of one of their swan song. I'm half waiting for them to promote every show for the rest of their existence because they got no other lead.
Yeah, this is the last year of tennis being on 7.
Next year they get 2019, 2020 it goes to Channel 9.
How's that going to work with the cricket?
Well,
I suppose the tests will just all be done by then.
The word on the street is, and literally on the street, the homeless guy at the front told me this.
He was riding in chalk.
He was just ranting, and I went out to talk to him. No, but the Channel 9...
Which is how you met Serge.
Channel 9 have said they don't... Basically, Channel 9 put in a much lower bid than what Cricket Australia wanted. So did 10. Cricket Australia have read them the riot act, and Channel 9 have then gone sign the tennis, basically, I think, thinking... The tennis is the best one. It leads into everything for the year.
Yeah.
It rates really well for those 2 weeks. You can promote all your shows and run them straight after the tennis, so they rate well. And I think they've gone looked at the money for the cricket and gone, you're a dying sport more than the tests are not rating what they did. I mean, the tests were over by the 3rd one this year, and then all that's happening in South Africa just happened. They're looking at going, why would we want to pour heaps of money in? We won't. They're not going to bid themselves silly. They think the demand's not that big. So there's a suspicion that 7 and Foxtel might now do the deal. Mainly cool. to get BBL and everything, because BBL's the one you actually want.
Yeah.
Because you can do that as,
Can we get Channel 7? So we're going to get Channel 7 commentators doing the cricket. Dennis Cometti doing cricket. That would be awesome.
If the idea of Channel 9 losing the cricket is a happy thought, except when you think that they'll just probably hire the exact same people, because that's how it works.
I want BT doing a test match, because BT gets so excited in a fast game like footy. I reckon if you slow him down, he'll speak it at normal pace.
You reckon?
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be interesting to see, if that happens, if it actually does go there. Because that could leave 10 out in the cold altogether.
Oh, I think, 10's always about
but now
to
CBS
die.
owns it. They got money.
Yeah, so
for the first time ever.
They're showing the baseball.
Yeah, that's right. It's round the clock. Now, getting to South Africa, the tour's over. And
how did we go on the last one?
Well, we lost by a lot, and I would say I would mark that test down as a failure. What about you?
Big call.
What did you think?
I don't know. I was watching the Asian Champions League instead. So
it was just, you think about it, we went over there, we won the first test, then Warner got into that yelling match in the stairwell, and then since then we've lost the coach, the captain, the vice captain, one of our youngest players, Bancroft, who was our lead run scorer for the series. And,
what happened there?
and our reputation is in tatters, and I wouldn't be surprised if more higher up the chain get sacked. It's happened right in the middle of the negotiating the new TV rights for Cricket Australia. So it's the worst tour ever.
Yeah, that's a fair call.
In my book that I did last year, I had to read up on all of them again, refresh my memory, and read ones, like from way back. And there really isn't a comparative disaster. It's up there with the Montreal Olympics in terms of Australian sporting disasters.
Is that where we won nothing?
We won nothing.
Nothing.
We came like 32nd on the. That was when the Australian Institute of Sport was funded after the Montreal Olympics.
Oh, really?
It was so bad.
1972?
No, 76.
Yeah.
And it was the absolute, we literally came no goal. I think we came in with 3 bronze or something.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Because I've been doing some research on the Commonwealth Games. In 1966 Commonwealth Games, every Australian swimmer won a medal.
It was like a kid's
primary
school thing. That's what I kind of think the Commonwealth Games are. They're just a big self-esteem boost for our athletes.
Just for ours, though. I always link it. It's like when you're just playing a game of social basketball, but there's that one mate of yours who takes it way too seriously.
Oh, and Australia's that.
That's Australia.
Oh, yeah, I reckon you're right. That's spot on.
Just everyone else is going, hey, what are we playing today? Squash? Sure. That's like tennis? Sure, whatever. What do I need shoes? Doesn't matter. Oh, mate, we got to win because we're the fucking best, mate.
Yeah. There's always someone who's it's taking it a little bit too far.
Ultra competitive Australia.
So Smith and Bancroft had to decide whether they were going to appeal their 12-month for Steve Smith, 9 months for Cameron Bancroft. They had to decide whether they were going to basically by 5 p.m. today that we're recording this, and not long from now, and we'll know about Warner soon. I looked before.
Wasn't the 5 p.m. today for Warner as well?
I hadn't, and when I looked just before we started recording, Warner hadn't made an announcement yet.
I might check.
But Steve Smith had decided that he's going to accept it, even though the union had said we should fight it.
Yeah, now everyone's talking about how much of a good bloke Steve Smith is for he's really shown remorse and everything, but he's just proven himself now to be a scab. Do what the union says, you bloody grub. Shame on you.
I reckon the thing with it is
been announced. Warner will not challenge.
Well, there
the
you
ban.
go.
There we go.
I think Warner is dead in the water. He's not coming back ever because the team won't have him, and the leadership now have realised that making him vice captain was a huge mistake. So he was never coming back, and the Australian public positively hate him and being seen as the mastermind, if I can use that term.
You even
incredibly,
did. You even did inverted commas
incredibly loosely. They thought so. Smith though, and the best thing that could have happened out of this for Bancroft and Smith, out of a terrible situation, the best thing that happened to them was that they got what are perceived, and it's pretty easy to argue they are incredibly harsh bans.
Yeah.
And then to say, we're not going to appeal it, we're not going to drag this on, is the best position they could be in, because now people feel like there's one thing if you did something wrong, but if it's seen as the punishment is disproportionate, they start to go, now I feel a bit sorry. I saw them crying. They're obviously remorseful. Oh, now I think they've been too harsh on them.
Yeah, and I've heard some journalists say that what they did was actually nothing compared to what happened on Married at First Sight. I heard that.
Which is a far more...
I heard that in the press conference.
Which is how you judge everything.
That's where
that was that... what's his name?
Kyle and Jackie O guy.
Yeah. And I love how everyone got really annoyed about that. And I'm like, he wants you to get annoyed.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Everyone's going, and like, people listen to it.
That's what Kyle and Jackie O do.
That's what they do.
They would have loved it.
He actually raised a fair point. Is this serious compared to Married at First Sight?
Yeah, but I mean, the person who really should have got there asking for that was the media manager who allowed him to ask a question. Like, sure,
and let them in let's get the Kyle and Jackie O intern in our press conference.
Well, yeah, I mean, surely you're going to know. Like Hugh Remington was there for Channel 10. Surely, if you're the media manager, you know all who the journalists are. Yeah, there's Hugh Remington.
I think with something like that, so many people show up, and if he just said, "I'm from Southern Cross Oz Stereo."
Well, yeah, but you don't throw to Southern Cross Oz Stereo as the first. Yeah, there's only 2 questions.
No, but you're getting that problem in your media organisation. Like, unfortunately, not like you can do in Russia, which I think is a much better system. You can't just say, we'll choose who we talk to. They kind of have to throw it open.
But people put their hands up and then you point to the one that you want.
Yeah, but for that they were seen to answer as many questions as humanly possible because it was seen earlier that they were too managed and not. So I think they were overcompensating for that
by letting Carl and Jackie.
But the whole thing's been managed so badly. It's like this will literally be the case study of how not to manage an issue. Taught in universities. It will. You watch every media and comms degree in Australia, they're already writing this up as the case study of how not to manage the media. It's terrific.
You could teach that course.
Oh, anyone could teach that course. You just got to have half a brain. So I think this could actually weirdly play out the best that it could possibly play out, the fact that this has actually happened. Consider what could have happened to them. If they had got a very light ban, I think
2-match ban. That's
or even like 2 months or 3 months or something. 6 months, I think, would have made people go, "That's probably fair." I just think 12 months is a lot when the actual crime itself is a 1-match ban.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's just good. I think
the book's been thrown into them because it was organised and planned. But then as more's come out, it seemed like Smith just didn't stop the plan. He wasn't really the one driving it.
Yeah.
Warner was. And Bancroft was sort of the patsy. He was the young guy that got told to do it.
Did he get told? I mean, we don't know
Warner told him.
Until they make underbelly ball tampering.
Well, yeah, that's
after the tennis next year.
Who would star in that?
Oh, man. Well, Steve Smith's a funny-looking bloke.
What's going to be?
Ratton
going to be Curry, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, Steve Curry. Yeah, that's a great call.
Isn't he also contracted to have to get first? Every Australian biopic, he gets first right of response.
Him and Samuel Johnson have to fight for it.
That's right. They get first. One of them gets to say yes or no. They take turns.
I think Stephen Curry would be a very good Steve Smith.
Oh, no, I think
Eric Banner as David Warner, sort of doing the chopper sort of thing.
They're doing Peter.
Yeah, as Peter.
That would be close.
And Lockie from The Wiggles playing Cam Bancroft. That's the best lookalike I can think.
Wiggles.
Okay, you know how old my kids are.
You've been watching The Wiggles again, haven't you? Now, my favourite, more has been written about this ball tampering incident than probably any other issue in the
life of Christ.
Yeah, it's quite amazing. And one of my favourite stories came out this week, and it was from news.com.au.
Why is this on the run sheet, by the way,
Titus? This was my favourite story. This is
Are you okay? Well, are you trolling me? You email me what we're going to talk about.
You think of all the nonsense that's gone on around that this gets written up as a story, and I just read it and went, oh, God, yes, this is terrific.
I'm just warning you, listeners. Be prepared to be disappointed in my co-host.
So the story was, the headline was, David Warner fails to recognise the Bachelorette. And I was like, well, hang on.
That's the headline and the entire story.
This has got everything in it that I want to have in a sports story, right? David Warner, the Bachelorette, it all coming together. So this is the story. It said, it seems David Warner wasn't a fan of the 2016 series of The Bachelorette starring Georgia Love. Now, to me, this is when I started to feel slightly fond towards David Warner for the first time, that he didn't actually watch The Bachelorette. It was the first sign of good taste he's shown. But then I remembered he's always watching cartoons. And since The Bachelorette was, to my knowledge, not a cartoon, he wouldn't recognise that. So it said, in an awkward television moment, I would dispute that it was particularly awkward, the former Australian cricket vice-captain failed to recognise the former reality star, which is a contradiction in terms, who now works as a reporter for Channel 10. She was a reporter for Channel 10 before she was the Bachelorette.
She was a newsreader,
She's now gone back to being a reporter because, surprise, surprise, the Bachelorette doesn't change your life. And
is she still with
She comes
Kenny?
up and tries to interview him at the airport, and he just says, he basically said, she asked, are you going to a meeting with Cricket Australia today? And he refuses to answer the question, because as if he's going to answer the question to a journo who's just approached him with a camera crew and a thing. And he calls her ma'am several times because he's actually being polite, which was rare for Warner. And they're going, I can't believe you didn't recognise her. And you're like, well, what's he meant to do? Go, oh, sorry, I wasn't going to answer your question, but I recognise your authority as the Bachelorette. I didn't realise you were the Bachelorette, and I feel so foolish. Your powers under legislation mean I am compelled to stop and give you a full media conference.
Yeah, so if is that going to be the policy? Do we send only on-air personalities
I think so.
to answer questions? So if it's an ABC journal, do they send Mr. Squiggle?
Like Andrew G is now like sent on to interview the head of the Taliban. Like that's sort of what I think we need to do from now on, and we need to actually. The politicians need to put the Bachelorette's powers actually in an act of parliament. That would be the most sensible approach, don't you think?
So she's got diplomatic immunity.
Do you think that's crazy?
I think the only
As
way
a story?
the only way that could be a story is if David
it was
Warner.
A story. It was a story.
I know, but the only way it could be a story that's interesting is if David Warner was a contestant on The Bachelorette and he didn't recognise her in the final episode of The Bachelorette, and she chose him. And he's like, "Oh, sorry, who are you?
Who are you?" Yeah. But do you think, is not recognising the Bachelorette, if we're going to run a story every time someone doesn't do that, like newspapers are going to be back to being as thick as they used to be, you know what I mean? Like just, because there'd be a lot of people that wouldn't recognise the Bachelorette.
No.
Especially when she approaches you dressed as a Channel 10 reporter.
She's so dastardly. Yeah. She's a master of disguise.
It's such a good story. Sometimes you just wonder, imagine that's your job to sit down and write that story. I feel for that person because that person's been told you have to churn out like 10 stories a day.
Yeah.
And so they were sitting there like with the TV on and they see Dave Warner just walk past and they go, "That's the Bachelorette. Oh, there's my first story of the day. Let's see let's see what Carl's doing on today."
That's adorable that you think it's a person. That's a bot. That's a bot that just saw those random words and go, "That's a story." I was chastising you for putting that in. That was fun. Okay.
Oh,
thanks,
it is
mate.
so stupid. Like it's easily my favourite story. It's the first time I've felt good about David Warner too. Melbourne, my beloved football club, announced
the D's.
Arguably
the oldest football club in the world.
That's right, yeah, and the most depressing. They announced yesterday in a move that I, in all seriousness, have to applaud. They're getting out of Pokies altogether. They're going to sell their Oakley club, which is called the Lee Oak Club. They're selling it to the Moonee Valley Racing Club. And then they've got the Bentley Club as well, which expires in 2020. So they're just not going to renew that when that expires. So they won't be fully out until 2022. But
is this they're getting rid of Pokies, which, as you say, is really honourable.
North Melbourne do
it as well.
Only one is who've done it before. And in fairness to North Melbourne, like they don't probably get enough credit for being probably one of the poorest clubs for taking a stance when the richer clubs are just pouring all the money in, and taking all the money they could.
I'm sure as they're sitting around that, roaring candle for warmth in the dead of winter after training, having lost to, the Gold Coast by 10 goals, they go, well, at least we've got the moral high ground, boys.
Yeah. No, I think that's exactly how Hawthorn think of things. I like that because Hawthorn are take the most money out of all the clubs.
And I've heard that they have said if we don't have Pokies, we don't break even. And you got to go, okay, there's something wrong with your business model there.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you have more members than anyone else.
Yeah.
You've won countless flags. You've won a flag, at least one flag every decade since the 1960s. What are you doing wrong? Is Jeff Kennett paid in ivory back scratches? What?
Well, he is. But
do you know what the problem is? I went to a president's lunch at Hawthorn and entree was a dodo egg.
It's silver service.
It was, a Fabergé dodo egg. Everyone got one.
The thing about Hawthorn is they should be really known as the can't feed your family club. It's just, so Melbourne are getting out of it, and I think so. It's normally a $2 million profit that they get each year, a net profit that they get from it each year. But they reckon they can start to step out of that. They're not getting out of it immediately. There is a bit of a lag time. They're selling it for $11 million, this club.
That's not bad.
So they'll be able to use that in some way. They're smart with that, which makes me worried. But, just put an asterisk next to that bit. And so that's sort of the thing that's going to work. And they think that this is the thing to do, but also they think it also means you focus less on trying to run a business on the side and more trying to do this thing.
Well, it's because Melbourne, you're also known as old money. You're similar to Hawthorn. Are you getting out of pokies because they're a bit common? Are you now gonna have clubs where people play baccarat?
Yeah, that's right. We're going to get into that. It's a much more important.
We're investing in Steam.
We're going to. You know how every other club's buying esports ones. We've bought a polo team. We think the kids are really getting into it. At least my nephew Christian is. So I think that's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what the others are going to do this. I have liked what the AFL have done on pokies, which is talk about how bad it is a lot while letting it all happen.
Well, yeah, they do that for a lot of things.
That's right. That's their, let's pretend we're concerned.
That's their brand. That's their standard play.
That's right. Hey, pay attention to what we're saying, not what we're doing.
Yeah, thoughts and press.
Because Richard Goyder, who's the chair, he's put on the record a few times at the AFL that he hates pokies and AFL should be out of it. He's saying Woolworths, which had... he used to run West Farmers, which has a heap of pokies.
Oh, there we go.
So, yeah, it's hard. People sort of have there's a bit of a dissonance between what they say and what they actually do.
Are you saying multicultural round didn't bring world peace?
It's pretty close.
That's weird.
The world's never been in better shape. And talking about people that got on their high, I was about something. I forgot to say this before we were talking about the cricket. I did like Shane Warne wrote
what's he said?
Oh, he wrote a column basically saying they needed a full clean out of Cricket Australia and things like this wouldn't happen in his day. And I'm like, hang on.
Great.
Hang on. You took money from a bookie and you also got banned for taking a banned substance. So people don't really worry about what they weighed in on, do they, these days? So I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I thought, well, if only he could give us his thoughts on charity fundraising legislation going forward. That'd be terrific too. If you could because it just, what does he think we don't remember?
Yeah, it's Warnie likes to party, and he can't remember the last few years, so he's forgotten that they were there. He's going to write an article soon about, hey, does anyone remember how beautiful Elizabeth Hurley was? Wonder what happened to her.
Yeah. They just comment on things like that. They got nothing that they can... It's like when Carey tries to get... I remember when Carey once, I think it was on Talking Footy or something, and someone said... They were talking about Gary Lyon and Billy Brownless, someone said, well, what's your thoughts, Duck? And he just bangs to Duck. He looked like one of those ISIS hostage videos of someone just sweating bullets and just staring at the screen for about 5... It was awesome.
Thank God
for my favourite thing.
Duck would have just told the Claire, I wouldn't have thought so, Ed. Ed's not here. Just move on.
Yeah, it doesn't work for this station. I don't care. Throw to Eddie Maguire. I can't believe they set him up like that. So that's it for Pokey. So it'd be interesting to see. Do you reckon any other clubs are going to actually get around to doing this?
I think the Bulldogs are wanting to, definitely, from my chats with the president and everything. But look, it's if say Hawthorn's business model is correct and you do need it to stay afloat, then what can we do?
Well, their problem, though, is they want to build, what is a $110 million new Dingley Centre.
Yeah.
So they're wanting to do things that...
Out of ivory.
Yeah, they want to fund new things that are very expensive, and Collingwood have done similar things with their facilities. So that's where a lot of them don't, want to do this because they need the money. They do. But if everyone's out of it, everyone's out of it.
Yeah.
You see the Hawthorns and the Collingwoods are making a lot more money out of it than a lot of the others. There's a few others in there.
So what other vice could we tap into here? We can't do smoking. Do clubs own just normal pubs?
Well, I think ice is the one to go to.
Ice is pretty good
because people make a huge amount of money out of ice.
What about club themed strip clubs?
Oh, there you go. Really thinking.
Could could we get into that?
Nothing says family like a strip club, and nothing encourages women to, enter into footy. So, there's...
let's have co-ed strip clubs as well. I mean, it can be
the
for everyone.
Chippendales can get
now
involved.
We're talking.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Can you imagine just...
So you want one where your wife and you can both go and watch?
Exactly. And, bring the kids once they're at a certain age. What can you imagine,
the kids would like to watch other kids strip? No, is that weird?
Okay, now we're too far.
Right, was that the line, was it? Let's get on to round 3. The preview of round 3.
Okay.
Now, Blockbuster on Friday night, it's the battle for 14th, Carlton Collingwood.
14th, that's very nice of you.
Yeah, I'm a nice guy.
It is,
remember when these used to be exciting? Remember the 90s where people would do it?
Tell me about it. It is exciting.
No.
Man, it is. I'm so sad that somebody's unwinning run has to come to an end here.
It's going to be amazing if Collingwood actually lose.
When was the last time? Oh, no, they lost to Carlton last year. Do you want
but they haven't started to own 3 since I think it's in the 90s or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a long time.
I'm surprised by that.
I was reading this morning.
Isn't it? It's sad. And it is totally not relevant to this time, but this is our show.
Yeah.
Isn't it sad that Mick Malthouse never defeated Collingwood when he coached Carlton? I always wanted that moment.
I would have liked to have seen Mick stay just because of the carnage. It was just rorting across
bring
everything.
him back for this game.
It's amazing, wasn't it? So Carlton Collingwood, Cruz is back. Collingwood have everyone injured, and I looked up their injury list today, and it is long.
It's a phone book.
Yeah, it is really long.
Is De Goey back for this game, or is it?
He's probably going to come back through. Both him and Elliott are going to come back through the VFL, so they won't be playing this game, but they'll be probably playing VFL this week. Elliott's just always injured. People say, "Oh, we're unlucky," and you look at it and go, "Well, but he's always injured." Is it luck or is he just a very injury-prone player? It's like I look and so I'm reading through the Collingwood's injury list, and I'd even forgotten about this. And there's Daniel Wells' calf.
Oh yeah,
2 to 3 weeks.
Right.
And this is the thing: if you're Collingwood, and this is where I've spoken to a lot of Pies fans about this, and they just say to you they're the things that drive them mad because there's bad luck, but then if you're an injury-prone club and you're having all these problems. Why go fill one of your holes on one of the spots on your rosters with Daniel Wells? You know what I mean? You'd be better to getting an average but very durable player.
Yeah. You want
because you got to cover injuries all the time because you just seem to have for whatever you're doing wrong or bad luck. But how long can bad luck last?
Oh, hopefully a lot longer.
Yeah.
Let's not forget the horror that was 2010, where they won it. That's what they seem to do. They pop up every 20 years and just remind us why we hate them.
Right.
And then so thankfully, they're back to being the bad luck side. Although Carlton beating them is okay. What's funnier, Carlton being 9-3 or Collingwood being 9-3? This is what we as neutral fans have to ask ourselves.
No. Well, either way, we'll be a bit happy and a bit sad. But I think
yin yang.
I don't know. Collingwood have this habit. So right now, you'd have to say, and we've been in this position a few times over the last few years, quite a lot, where it's like you're at the point where if Collingwood lose this week, Buckley's just got to be gone. It's just got to be the case. And every time they pull out a win, they just are all they're like the kid in class that used to rile up the teacher to the point where you could tell the teacher was about to crack it. And they'd just know, now's the time to stop. Now's the time just to... And then some other kid would say something and that kid would get in trouble.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's always someone who's the master at that. They'd rile up. And then just as the teacher was about to break, they'd go, right, I'm just going quiet now. And there'd always be some other less attuned kid that would
walk away from the explosion behind them.
Yeah, that's right. And Collingwood, just when you think every time, if they lose this, he's got to be gone. They've lost 4 in a row.
So you're saying bet heavily on Collingwood?
Well, that's why it's the only... it's not a logical thing, and my tipping's terrible, but it's the one thing I think you want to write them off to go, yeah, they're terrible. And they at least always try Collingwood. They're just not good.
Yeah.
Effort is not their problem under Buckley.
How are your tips this year? What are you on?
Well, my first week was really good. I got one wrong, I think, and then but I think everyone did that. And then last week mine was a train wreck.
I'm on 5. I got 3 the first week, 2 last week.
Oh, so I'm ahead of you, but that's because how did you get 5 in the first week?
No, I got 3.
You got 3 in the first week.
3 in the.
And how many did you get last week?
3 and 2. I'm on 5 in total.
Oh, for the whole season.
I'm an impressive level bad tipper.
Yeah, because it's harder to tip. It's just as hard to tip the least amount as it is to tip the most.
Thank you very much.
So well done. If you reverse all... So if everyone just does the opposite of your tips...
Do you guys want my tips for this? I'll throw in my tips.
Who you got? Carlton Collingwood?
No, I'll go Carlton.
Carlton, all right.
Sorry, yeah, by the way, and sorry if I pick your team.
Well, Port, Brisbane. Port looked good last week.
Yeah, I think they're probably going to rest some players.
This is in Adelaide.
Yeah, rest some players. I mean, because they've got the grand final locked in now. So
that's right, it's done. They've got to start managing their list. Brisbane are much improved, but they're still not there. They can't play 4 quarters.
No, they've got. I think for a few years they haven't drafted particularly well, and Fagan's come in and he's doing the best that he can. He's a bit like Bolton.
Oh, they're good. I think they're on the right track because Melbourne copped a lot of for sort of going to sleep for a quarter as they always do, and should get flack for that, but. Brisbane were better than I actually thought. They at least were, they got some good players. Like, Beams is a great player.
Beams is a very good player.
Yeah, got Hodge down back now, so they've actually got some good players in each, at key points on the ground. So they're a little bit better than they were. Melbourne play North. Melbourne have not beaten North Melbourne for 17 games in a row.
Yeah, so
going back to 2006.
2006, when George Bush was president, John Howard was Prime Minister.
So you're going back like 46 Prime Ministers.
Casino Royale was the last Bond.
Yep. Justin Timberlake had brought sexy back. That's how long it was.
Man. And these are the two teams without Pokies, so I believe you're playing for the Mother Teresa Cup.
That's right. It's the battle
which is actually
the moral high ground.
It's just a polystyrene cup. That's all they can afford.
That's right. Well, I think whoever wins this gets the moral high ground.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's what we own.
My tip.
Who's your tip there?
D's. You surely got to win this time.
Every year I tip the D's here because over the last couple of years, not always, but over the last couple of years, you go North are going downwards, we're going up. It's got to happen. And then you can't logically look at this game and say Melbourne would lose. You just have to say Melbourne would win, except for reality, which is something about North. And North at least, they had that first half. If they play like they did in the second half against St Kilda, they're a chance.
Yeah.
If they play like they did in the first, well, anyone could beat them. You could send any team out.
Was that St Kilda being awful, or was it North being slightly less
They were both awful.
Yeah.
They should write a formal apology to the game. Seriously. They should sit down and do some sort of
you
penance.
made in your knee-jerk reaction of you think the Catholic Church.
I thought the AFL had gone to the Catholic Church and said, we want footy on Good Friday, and the Catholic Church said, no way. And they said, it will be North versus St Kilda. And the church goes, eh. And the AFL said, it'll make going to church seem like Ibiza.
Get some bums on pews.
People will be going to get out of watching it. It's true. If you watch that, you went, I would prefer to be at church. And I'm not even religious.
Yeah. Well, this is what they get. The crap game like that's what you get if you take it away from the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
We won by 5 points last year. It was a sellout. It's a disgrace, AFL.
It is a disgrace because you guys are travelling so well. I'm tipping Melbourne there too, but I do that knowing that that's going to not be right. Gold Coast are playing Fremantle. It's a home game for the Gold Coast Suns, and it's in Freo because they sold their home game.
Well, because the Commonwealth Games are on.
But you look at it and go, you've already got to travel. You've already got one home game in China.
Yeah.
And so you sell it to Perth. So, let's go as far away let's get as much travel into these young bodies as we can. Like, it's just, Stuart Dew must be going, seriously, we're going to start pretending to be an AFL club at some point?
Well, you say there's all this negativity coming from the media, people like yourself. Remember, Optus Stadium is a fortress for Gold Coast. They have never lost there. They've got an impeccable
Neither are Freo,
record.
though, so they're both going in this.
Oh, wow.
They're both going
what a
in
historical
this
match.
Yeah, huge. I'm tipping Freo there. I thought Freo were much improved last week, and the fact they're actually at home.
Yeah.
And Gold Coast have travelled a fair bit.
Yeah, I'll tip Freo, but Gold Coast are good.
But everyone got excited about Gold Coast because, Tom Lynch was great last week, but they were playing Carlton, and Carlton were horrendous last week. Their skills were terrible. And even Tom Lynch afterwards, they said, Kicking A, is that your best game? He said, no, that's nowhere near my best game. So even he basically said, no, that's the closest you'll come to a player saying the other side were pretty rubbish. The next one, Swans, Giants, the battle for Sydney.
The Battle of the Bridge.
It's no longer called that. They dropped it.
Oh.
Because it wasn't for the Sydney Harbour Bridge. It was
the Anzac Bridge.
The Anzac Bridge.
Them.
Yeah. So
what are they calling it?
There's nothing.
The Sydney match. No, they can't even call it that.
I think it's a battle for New South Wales or something. They've renamed it.
Oh, yeah, that rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, we'll come up with something for them.
Sure. Q Clash is the dumbest one, I think.
A Q Clash is by far the worst.
Derby, Showdown.
They're good.
Yeah,
I don't mind
absolutely.
them. Yeah.
No one's actually, yeah.
Battle for the moral high ground, as we've just come up with. They're all good.
Yeah.
So I'm tipping the Swans there.
Oh, really? No, Giants for me.
Only because it's the SCG, but they're both pretty good.
You'd hope they get a big crowd, and you'd also want a bit of biff actually between the two teams, because that's what Sydney sports fans like.
Yeah, they like winning, and
they like they want
free
a bit
drinks,
of punching
winning, and punching.
Well, but so you'd hope both sides are in. Sydney are always one of the form teams. GWS are on fire. You'd want that to be a big crowd and to be a real spectacle to make some inroads into the rugby league heartland.
That's right. St Kilda, Adelaide. This is at Etihad Stadium. St Kilda, you'd hope that last week was just an off day at the office.
Would we hope that? I was fine.
Well, Nick Riewoldt said, if you're Saints supporter, you'd hope that. Nick Riewoldt said it's too early to panic, and I thought, I think it's too late to panic. I think it's the horse has bolted on the season already now. It's play the kids, rebuild.
Do you know what's a terrible decision by whoever made this? That's the one that's on free to air. That's on 7, mate. The Swans Giants one is on
paper
Foxtel.
At the start of the year, St Kilda, everyone, a lot of people had them tipped to at least make the 8 for the first time, and even Alan Richardson said they could possibly win the premiership. If they start 0-3, they're pretty much, you don't, unless you're Sydney Swans, you don't come back from 0-3. So
it's on 7, mate. Now, because the Commonwealth Games, as I said, is on normal 7. Say what you like about imperial colonisation. At least it got St Kilda onto the digital channels where they belong.
Yeah, right. That's right. At least it's knocked them off the prime time. So St Kilda, Adelaide, I'm going for the Crows there. Crows are...
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Although if they play imagine if St Kilda beat Adelaide, you just know that we have got no sense yet, not just us, but just footy fans on the trend.
Well, this is the equalisation.
The form lines are all over the shop.
Yeah.
Because I'm still not confident. Because round 1, I was like, I got tipped 8 or whatever, and then I'm like, I got a good feel for the league this year. And then round 2 comes and I go, I know nothing about football.
What's the one you got wrong round 1? Was it D's Cats? So if Mexico had kicked straight, you would have won a whopper?
I tipped the D's.
Man, I said so last week, I was with you when that happened.
And anyone that follows my tips would know that it is very rare for me to get even...
You handled it so well.
I'm dead inside, Danny. I've told you this 1,000 times. I'm dead inside. I don't feel things anymore. I just want someone to love me. Sunday we go Richmond-Hawthorn.
Yeah, now this, I really want all Hawthorn fans to go along to this and watch the smug Tiger fans who will be wearing their premiership Guernseys and everything. And I want you Hawks fans, as they're pummeling you and giving you hell, remember, you were so much worse than this.
Do you think Richmond,
Hawks will probably win?
Do you think Hawks are going to win?
Yeah, they probably
I haven't decided really on this. I probably would tip Richmond. Richmond have looked at, only okay, but it's round 2. They're 1-1.
6-day break. Richmond 8-day break.
Can you call their premiership defence in tatters at 1-1?
Absolutely. Yeah. Man, the Bulldogs were ahead at quarter time round 1 last year, but everyone was saying we had a hangover.
Yeah, that's right.
And we were like, no, we were still drunk from the year before, and then the hangover kicked in.
So you're tipping the Hawks or Richmond there?
I'll go Hawks.
I'm currently tipping Richmond, but I've got to have a bit of a think about that one. Western Bulldogs and Essendon. So that's Essendon.
No, I always tip the Dogs, which is also why I'm bad at tipping. This could be interesting because
Essendon are coming back from Perth.
Yeah, and surely the Dogs can't be any worse than we have been. Stringer is the big talking point of this game. Now, Stringer is the sort of player that he will do probably nothing else for Essendon for the rest of his career there, but he'll kick 10 on Sunday.
He'll either do that or he'll motivate your team to actually finally decide to show up for a game.
Oh, man, yeah, you're giving me false hope here.
Yeah.
Well...
So you never know. The thing about footy is, because you kind of got in your head past patterns, it always takes you a few extra weeks to realise, they're not coming back, that team, whoever it is, they're actually bad. And other times when someone gets something, like Richmond last year, no one, because it's been so long, no one could recalibrate their brains fast enough to work out, they're actually a good side.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm still with the Bulldogs. I'm like, they've got to come back because they were so good and they won a premiership 2 years ago. And now you start to go, actually, they've been rubbish now for like 18 months.
Yeah.
It's not a new phenomenon that Bulldogs being only okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was a nice little island of goodness that we have.
Run,
now we're back into the ocean of...
Now we're back to just normal programming with the boys. I'm tipping the Essendon in that one.
Yeah, as well you should.
Eagles Cats. This is actually not a bad game. It's over in Perth. It's over
at Gold Coast home ground.
Yeah, that's right. It's Eagles.
Eagles are good, man. They demolished us.
Yeah, well, come on. Jeez.
It's like Tom Lynch.
Geelong coming off... Chris Scott said this himself. They could have been 0-2.
Yeah, that's right.
But they could have also been 2-0. So, they're kind of...
In that last 2 minutes, Hawthorn Geelong... Did they suddenly get rid of the deliberate out of bounds rule like that?
Oh yeah,
Hawthorn kicked it out of bounds like 4 or 5 times, and it was a throw in every time allegedly.
Yeah, it was the umpiring in the last quarter. No matter what fan you talk to, either neutrals or Hawks or Cats fans said the umpiring was terrible.
Yeah,
and it was all just bewildering decisions across the board.
Or the not calls.
They're not called, but then some. Yeah, it was just bizarre. I don't pretend to understand it. You know me, never bag the umpires though. I'm tipping the Eagles in this one, but you could easily see the Cats getting up. What do you reckon?
I reckon the Eagles as well. And I want to give a shout out to. I have a mate, another comedian, who's a really, I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, weedy, curly-haired, nerdy-looking guy. Big Eagles fan.
Yeah.
His name's Liam Ryan.
Oh, right.
He's
so
the happiest.
His namesake.
His namesake is dominant. He's loving this so much. And see Liam's show.
Does he get
Comedy Festival?
Does he get mistaken in clubs?
No, Liam is he's like yourself. He probably watches documentaries about hip hop. He's the whitest fella in the history of the world.
Well, you've got to catch a train.
I do. I'm off to see a couple of shows tonight. I'm going to watch Auntie Donna. And
they're very good.
Yeah, they are. Broden, big Demons fan. The other two don't care about football.
Yeah. Well, I'm off to do a show tonight, so that should be fun. For me, not for the audience. Well, we'll see you back next week. Make sure you check out my show at the Imperial. Tickets on sale at Frontier Touring or at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival.
Yes.
Your show kicks off on...
Tuesday, European Beer Cafe. And I think I should start plugging Sydney Comedy Festival, March 5 and 6.
Which we're both going to for that. For
what dates are yours?
Shows. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Why don't we do a pod up there?
We could possibly do a pod up there. It's a good idea.
Fun. Just on the beach.
Yeah, we'll do it up. We'll do it as we fly up in my private jet. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.